Not long ago, many investors saw Bitcoin as an excellent inflation hedge. But with the inflation soaring high, and interest rate hikes by the Federal Reserve, Bitcoin has failed to sustain the value that many investors thought it would. So, what went wrong with Bitcoin? And how did it fail to be the hedge people were anticipating? The crypto investors reasoned that the Bitcoin was like gold, long considered to be a solid inflation hedge. Bitcoin is a limited resource, with a maximum of only 21 million coins allowed to exist. So far there are only 19 million Bitcoins in existence, and the number changes every 10 minutes. Because of its limited supply, it was compared to physical gold or other precious metals. However, this theory doesn't hold true as it was expected. In the last year, Bitcoin has lost 75% of its market capitalization, and not many agree with the inflation hedge theory any longer. So, why the case for Bitcoin as an inflation hedge has crumbled? Crypto enthusiasts always imagined that Bitcoin can be an effective hedge against inflation during economic turmoil. They argued that its scarcity would protect its value during times of rising inflation. Unlike central banks, which can increase the supply of money, there are a fixed number of Bitcoins, which keeps them scarce. Another argument is that Bitcoin, like gold, will develop an intrinsic store of value as it becomes more widely accepted. Supporters believe it will be viewed as a long-term asset that will not depreciate. Following this belief, during the previous year's bull cycle, MicroStrategy, Tesla, and a slew of other public companies doubled down on Bitcoin's inflation hedge aspect by incorporating Bitcoin into the corporate treasuries. Listen to the CEO of MicroStrategy discuss Bitcoin as an inflation hedge in May 2022.
Bitcoin is two things. First of all, it's a non-sovereign store of value asset. So it's like a digital gold, but you can't make any more of it, and you can move it at the speed of light, and you can program it on a computer. And so that makes it interesting to people that would be gold bugs. But it's also an open monetary network. So I can move $1 billion from here to Tokyo and back again every hour. And I can't do that with gold. And so that makes it very interesting to big tech investors. So we actually think in a world where it's very difficult to move physical things around, it's hard to ship things on container ships or fly them around in airplanes, and supply chains are snarled. In that world, what you'd like is a pure block of digital energy that moves on a digital or a big tech network at the speed of light. And so Bitcoin kind of represents the best of both worlds. It's an inflation hedge because you can't make any more of it, and it's a store of value. But it's also a big tech dominant digital network like Google or like Apple or like Facebook. And of course, those have done very well in the past decade.
However, this has not been proven, at least not yet. The overall value of the cryptocurrency market has fallen alongside rising inflation, with Bitcoin losing more than half of its value since January 2022. Throughout the previous decade, inflation remained low, and Bitcoin delivered spectacular gains. With inflation rates at historic lows, there was no compelling reason to dismiss the idea that cryptocurrency could serve as a good hedge against inflation. Then came the COVID-19 pandemic, which changed everything. Fearful of the economic impact of the pandemic, the federal government responded with unprecedented stimulus packages. At the same time, supply chain disruptions caused many businesses to be unable to meet demand. Inflation began to resurface after a long hibernation. It was the ideal scenario for Bitcoin to demonstrate just how effective it could be as an inflation hedge. But it didn't work. So why isn't Bitcoin better at hedging against inflation? The main issue with Bitcoin is that, in order for an asset to be an inflation hedge, investors must believe that it will retain its value as inflation rises. It's abundantly clear that isn't the case with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is only worth what investors believe it is. It has no real intrinsic value, unlike stocks. Most cryptocurrency investors are unaware of the distinction between cryptocurrencies as commodities and securities. They appear to be lumping Bitcoin in with all other digital currencies. Over the last 3 months, Bitcoin has dropped roughly the same amount as some altcoins, such as Dogecoin. Many experts also believe Bitcoin's price volatility is so high that it is difficult to see it as a long-term store of value. Cryptocurrency is a new type of asset that does not yet function as a sought-after commodity, like gold, or as a currency, because it cannot be easily exchanged for a good or service. The price of Bitcoin is still heavily influenced by consumer sentiment. Cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin have only been around for a little more than a decade. As a result, there isn't enough historical data to truly understand what purpose it serves as an investment. The question now is, has Bitcoin failed? Don't give up on Bitcoin as an inflation hedge just yet. There is still a chance that the cryptocurrency will be everything that investors hoped it would be. Increased cryptocurrency adoption would be beneficial. The greater Bitcoin's real-world utility, the more justifiable its valuation. At some point, the value of the digital coin may become more stable. Once volatility has subsided, we will have a better understanding of how it reacts to macroeconomic developments, such as the rate of inflation. In any case, cryptocurrency as a whole remains a highly speculative investment. As a crypto investor, you should only invest money that you are willing to lose. Consider crypto investing a long-term strategy, and stick to it even in difficult times. Cryptocurrency may evolve over time into a more mature asset that can be used as a hedge against inflation, but all indications are that we are not there yet. Cryptocurrency isn't yet an inflation hedge, but it could be one in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Like this video, and leave a comment on what you think about the future of Bitcoin. Until next time.